Hi, welcome back to Mechanic Garage. More work on a Skoda. And today, well this weekend, did weather permitting, I'm hoping to make quite a bit of progress. I've got some bits down here I'll show you in a minute, but we're getting somewhere. Now if you watched the last video, you'd have seen I got all the rear suspension arms on and the springs and shocks. I've still got all the drive side of it to go on yet, but this was the start. You'd have also seen that I moved these pipes up there and they all started leaking. So I've got another 6 meters of coolant hose for that. And this is what I was referring to when I said I'll show you what I've got down there. All the suspension arms that were incredibly rusty, all been cleaned up. I've not gone too mad in the brakes because obviously you can't see any of that, but all the suspension arms, they got cleaned up really well, rust treated, zinc primed, and about 4 or 5 coats of satin black. Cross member over there I did a while ago, but all these extra pieces that go in the suspension and clamp it all together, they all have the same treatment. A little bit on the dull side in places because it was cold last night in my garage when I sprayed them, but I thought if I get them all painted Friday night, everything's done, and get everything assembled today. They're the base plates that clamp onto the other side of this, which hold it onto the axle, onto the arms I've just shown you. So today I'm going to get the brakes built up. I have ordered custom made braided hoses because the front ones, MGF calipers, Skoda, nothing actually matches. So I found somewhere that can make them up. Coincidentally, 410mm for the rears, which is a measurement of the originals, will also do the fronts perfectly. So I just needed 4 the same. So I'm going to try at some point and get these brakes finished because they're all a bit half done. So today, this lot's going on, brakes are going on, coolant hose wherever I've put that. Oh, that's in there. Yeah. Coolant hose, 6 meters of that. Got 8 and 10mm fuel pipes for both sides of the pickup. New handbrake cables, various new bits. Oh, that's the other thing. Remember the old air filter? Well, I'm not entirely sure, can't really see, but when you got the trumpets on the inside, these are quite close to the mesh. I recommend 20mm minimum. I had about 20mm, so I bought the next size up, got the bigger one. There's about 40mm now between the air filter housing and the actual end of the trumpets. Yeah, about there. So in theory there should be more airflow, more room for it. Yeah, in case you haven't seen it, it's 16 valve, 1800 16 valve, Rover K series. It's been off the road too long now, a couple of years since it was last run. When it last on the road anyway, because I decided to convert it to 130 back end, which better, stronger, different ratios and better handling. So anyway, there's loads of other videos if you want to check out those, and that'll go through the history of this project. So plan today, as I say, is to get all the suspension on, get the brakes on, get the handbrake cables on. I'm going to try and get the heated pipes in first. I drained I drained the cooling system from the bottom metal hose where the bungs are, into a bucket, as you do, and then realised the bucket had a hole in it, so I had to quickly swap it for another bucket. They didn't have an hole in it, and catch as much of it as I could, because now I've got to lay underneath in the wet. It was dry under the car typically, but now it's not. So let's get on with something, and we'll go from there. Right, looking inside the car, coolant hoses run through the centre of this tunnel. You can see one of them there and the other one down there underneath the new throttle cable. They go out through the back with everything else where it goes through underneath the back of the engine gearbox and come up there. So I'm clipping them up that end, but I need to drain them first at the other end because they're still full even though the system's dry. One of them starts there. See, the original pipe work, it was all just put together and unfortunately didn't survive very well because it was already from 1989, 1990, however old it was when it was fitted to the car as well, so I don't think it's done badly. It's one of those things, you don't want to be getting a red hot bloody coolant leak with a pipe burst, especially when they're inside the car. So I'm going to go underneath, try not to get drowned in all that bloody mess under there. Right, under the car, you can see the heater pipes there. That's where they come out from up in come inside, and then they join up here. Now the T-piece there, I don't actually need, because that was for when it had a thermostat in that closed the circulation. That was to circulate through the heater. Now I don't have that issue because this hasn't got a thermostat in at the minute, so water will flow fully. But also I'm fitting a remote thermostat at the front, so it's a bypass one that will do the job of that anyway. So I think I'm going to have to buy a T-piece or an inline joint. I might have to nip out and get one, and put these back together as a straight line. This second one on this side, I'll try and hold the phone. This will just go through in one complete line, because this is one that's broken in here, and I think that one's broken down there somewhere. But either way, it's just hard, brittle, and it's past its best. This is all much more pliable, and once it's all in place, it can all get secured back up there where it belongs. Because all I did last time was moved it, and it started leaking. So I'll get these out. I'm going to be struggling for filming, but I'll show you what I can. See, this is what I was saying last time. Put these on. These are right in my way now. But all I've done so far, I've just snipped the pipes and drained it into the bucket, so I can get rid of the bucket out of the way now. And try and separate these. I don't think they're going to be particularly separatable, for want of a better word, because I just don't. I'll leave my clips back. Where the might come off. Okay, so right, I don't need to split all this really, but I will, to return my clips. This piece here is the only one that needs to, there you go, that's the only piece I need to save. The rest of this can all go in the bin. Just cut this off out of the way. To remember which one's which, that's the other problem. Yeah. Because obviously it flows a certain way through the heater. Not really going to see a lot here because of where it is, so. I did a really good job of hiding all the clips, so they weren't spiky and visible. However, that's made it more awkward for me getting them off now. Because it's up over here. That should slide off there. Yeah. Now this might just break off. Oh, there you go, there's that. You can see perfectly on there where that was leaking from. It was all cracked around there. Because it was the old pipe, it got stretched to fit a slightly bigger pipe, which I'm hoping the new stuff will go over. But yeah, it's the old stuff. It's had its day. Right, well that was a struggle. Ended up having to take this whole elbow off, but I managed to stretch it over there, work it all the way on. So that now will go back in. I've then got to feed 6 meters of hose through underneath the car because I couldn't get this on afterwards. So we'll get on with that. It means I'll pull it through inside the car and then feed it back up through there. So let's get this back in place roughly, and then we know what size it needs to be cut at. Right, first thing I need to do really is get the pipe work out of the way. And that way now you can get to the two hoses. I'll probably end up replacing these two bits here as well. That means getting the heater matrix out and flushing that. Maybe you can tell that these are the original pipes, original hoses, because I've still got the same factory screw clips in, which need to undo these. They're a bit of a fiddle. You can reuse them if you're careful, but I'm not going to do. You can pull the pins out. That then releases the clip. Right, I don't know which pipe this is, so I'll have to make notes, because otherwise it'll flow the wrong way. Not that I think it'll make that much difference, but I'd rather get it right. Okay, so that's now letting water out somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so that's now let air in, which is let water out, which is odd because this is on hot, so that should have been open. So it suggests to me that there isn't an awful lot of flow through it. Right, okay. Okay, so the black hose is the one that I've just fitted to the back end. Black hose, one at the back that's already on. I'll try and remember that. I'll try. That's why I say it out loud. When it started springing leaks, it was just like, yeah, this is your final warning that it needs doing. Rather than it giving up on you. So do something preempt it rather than react to it. Okay, pull the other one out. Right, they're out. New ones are in. I've not used the little bridge piece. I said before, it'll flow through the heater nicely now. It doesn't need that circulation link because the thermostat isn't in. I didn't film it because it was an horrendous job. There's so much stuff in here. Gear linkages, cables, choke cables, brackets, throttle linkage at the front. It was a pain, a right pain to get through because obviously the hose is coiled up, so it's wanting to curl, and I'm pushing it from underneath and it's getting stuck. I've had to set the second one out about 4 times, and all the throttle cable and gear linkage, everything, just to make sure it wasn't trapping anything. But anyway, it's all back in. I need to secure all this back up in the right place because the cables are rubbing on the throttle pedal, and they were before, so I'm going to tie wrap them across a bit so that they're not as prominent. Put it all back together. I gave the main steel coolant pipes a flush through with the hose pipe. Took the end off it and pushed it through. I didn't bother taking them off because it's like faffing around. But a fair bit of silt came out of them. Not loads, but there's enough that it's worth doing. Basically shoved the hose pipe through, and that was digging it up, loosening it up and rinsing it out at the same time. So that's cleaned up that. I had to rinse it all away because I made a right mess of my drive. But that's done. Coolant pipes are all done. Throttle cable's done, choke cable's done. I can now get the fuel pipes on, fuel balance pipe, and then that will allow me to put the belly plate back on. Once the belly plate's back on, gearbox cross member back on, suspension mounting, suspension arms on, and then brakes, wheels. Nearly there. Although I ain't got brake pipes yet. They'll be next weekend. But by that time, I'll hopefully have got the front brakes ready to go. But if not, that'll be pretty much the last of it, and subframes. So I shall go back under. I'll limit it on filming, so you'll just have to take my word for it. I'll show you afterwards. It's all literally upside down, so I'll get that done now, and I'll show you in a bit. You didn't miss much. 2 hours at least climbing around underneath this bloody thing, changing fuel pipes, balance pipes, rerouting things, gearbox cross member on. Right, I'll see if I can show you that pipe there, big curled one. That goes, because the tank's kidney shaped either side, Like a motorbike tank, there's things that go through the middle. It has to have the pipe across to equalise the fuel. Because the original, the original pickup pipe was too small. I don't know if you can see. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I've linked into this with a new pipe and put a 10mm pickup through there. That then goes to underneath there to the fuel pump. See what I am? No, that way. Yeah, it goes around to the fuel pump there, as you saw before, across the new fuel filter. I need to make a new mounting for it because this bit was a bit too short and I had to move it forward just to make it run for now. New pipe all the way up to the carbs. So that's all done. This lot here is all going to be covered up now because I've got that belly plate there to go back in. This is where all your gear selector is and clutch pipes and everything else. I think you're upside down. There you go. This is really not the easiest way of filming. There you go. Yeah, anyway, everything's up there. That's all going to get covered up now. Handbrake cables are on, and the next job will be getting the hubs and rear suspension and everything in there. Get the drive shafts back on once I've cleaned those up. But I've just spent the whole time on my back under there and I'm aching. It'd be so much easier in a ramp. But yeah, next job now, as I say, is get these arms in. So, I don't know, get that belly plate on, then get the arms in. Right, now is the time to get some suspension bits in, get some wheels, well, bits to even bolt the wheels onto, get brakes, and then brake cables are on, get the brakes built up, and not far off done. This is quite a big bit, big part of it. Got my bag of bits, each side's got all parts. Little rubber feet, well, little rubber pads. They sit on top of the axle there and again underneath. You can slot them in afterwards. You've got the stiffening plates that clamp in there, strengthen it all up. Now I did say in other videos I was going to box all this in and strengthen it. I didn't. Never got round to it. There's various other bits and bats and spacer tubes and blocks. Because this axle, as this part of the axle and this arm move around, you can actually alter the geometry and rear tracking and angle on it. So that's what slotted bolts for there. I'm going to have to get the steering geometry done anyway, because literally everything's moved. But for starters, I'm going to get myself under there, hoik this up and over, and get this arm into the mounting, and then I can start bolting it all together. And this is quite a big bit really, because it's been such a long time coming. I've not had wheels on this thing since, oh crikey, it must have been February last year. This gets a little bit more awkward now because where I was looking has now disappeared. That's good. Yeah, we're in. That's that one in. I'm not tightening these up just yet because I haven't got the weight on it yet, and they will need to be all tightened up when it's finished. Wriggle myself back out. I've spent all day under there. Now that looks a bit of progress. Alright, I'll get my little rubber pads, 2 in the top. I'm not sure how easy these are going to go together because I've never done one. If this is anything like so far, it won't be very easy at all because I think there's a lot of juggling. Put that there, and that there. Lower that down, hopefully they'll stay in. I have no idea how far around it wants to be, because then what you have now back out again. That's clearing the spring, that's a good thing. You get this arrangement here. Yeah, bolts that go through the bottom. They go up through that plate. Well, they would do. That's rusty. Or is it paint? That'll be one of the ones I need to clean up then. Yeah, that one works. Let's go swap it for the other one. I'll sort the other side out. When I took it all apart, a lot of this was like absolutely seized solid. There you go, that's what it should do. So I'll just clean that hole out. They'll go through there. Again, little rubber feet there and there. They'll sandwich it in. But you've then got this block fits in the centre. And that hole that I was talking about that goes through the middle goes in there. When you clamp it up, this is all sandwiched together, locks it in, but that's your adjustment. It moves backwards and forwards if need be. Well, it will need to. So I'll go underneath. That goes like that. What I am going to do, okay. That's not good. These must be for a 120 because they're too long. I need to determine the length of the 130 ones and then cut them down. There's always something in there. Right, I've had a look online and I've spoke to a guy that's in the know with this sort of stuff, and 38 is one number. I saw a video where the guy made these tubes and they were 35. Now, they're 50, I think they're 58 or 50, I can't remember now off the top of my head. There's no way that's right. These will be for the 120s that go through the axle complete, which is why they're the same thickness of that. These ones have that anchor shape. Now what I've done, I've bolted it together, clamped it up, and it squashed these rubbers nicely. Now these are quite thick because they're brand new, so they've got a lot of give in them. Now I've then measured, you can't really see, I'll try and shine a light in there. So, there you go, perfect. You can see where the bolt is either side of that silver block. That's where the tube goes, and I've measured top to bottom, and as it is at the minute it's about 40. So if it clamps down a little bit more, it also clamps these up, which is I think how it's supposed to be, because then it's a solid block. That and that are all one solid piece where they matter. So I'm going to go for 38 because I did see a number. I found the part number for it online, and he's confirmed that is the correct one, and that was 38mm, which is about there. So I'm going to do them at 38 because I can always chop a bit more off if need be, but I can't put it back on. So I measured them at 38, double checked it with a ruler. This is 38. Put it flat so it's 90 degrees, so I'm going to cut along this back edge because that one's actually shorter, but I've measured it from there. So as long as I cut it through from that side, we'll be good. So that's the first one of 4. Right, loosen these off a little bit. I'll leave one bolt in at a time. because that'll keep it clamped in place. Because then I can get my washer on as well, because with these washers they would make it a little bit on the tight side. So if I slot that into there, I should then be able to get that to screw in, which I have, yes. That means I can take this one out. No, put that one back in again. This one back out. All together. Same again, put that little tube in there. Not that you can see an awful lot, but tube in there, that through the centre. That's started. Now these need to be tight, but not stupid, because they'll just sandwich that pipe I've just cut. Right, they're tight now. That means that clamp across the middle can go tight, but I've got to adjust all this anyway. But at the moment, this is more just to make sure it all works. And it is. Get the brakes back in. Handbrake cable's secure. These are basically how they came off. Give them a quick clean off, but then that's all I need. Excuse me. Handbrake cable in, hook them round. I did actually rebuild the wheel cylinders, all new seals and all rubbers in them. Honed the bores slightly just to get any glaze off them. They weren't leaking before, so if I get the new set of rubbers in them, and they'll be good. Right, to stop these bouncing around too much, I shall put the steady post inside on one side. These are only little ones, so there shouldn't be too much of an issue. They can be a bit lively and disappear and dive off the and disappear and never seen again. One side in. Get the bottom spring on for before I click the other side in. Just fight the spring. Get it. Oh, there you go. And that spring out at the top. Don't damage the rubbers, because I've just replaced them. There we go. Now these will all need readjusted and everything. As I said earlier, I haven't got any brake pipes yet. Keep dropping my glove. I suspect that they've gone miles out of adjustment, so the drum won't go on, which I've got to clean up and paint anyway. Yeah. There you go. Push it in. That's now de-adjusted. It was a good thing when I got this back brakes on it were all new. There you go. Need to give that a damn good clean up and paint. That's brakes on one side done. Oh, I can't get the drive shafts on. Well, I can't get the other side on anyway. The exhaust's in the way, because it was never designed for a 130. I put the exhaust on, it was supposed to be for a 120. Right, that's the other side done now as well. I've bolted it all together, so this is all essentially put together. We'll need setting up, adjusting, rear tracking doing, over steering geometry and everything else. So front brakes and that are going to take a little bit more time, so what I'm going to do is I'll leave it there for now, because that's been quite a long video anyway. I've got a couple more parts to come, like brake pipes, as I say, and I should be able to then get pretty much finished. Exhaust, oh, I'll show you what I mean. The exhaust before was fairly close to the arm, but now you can see the end of that black circle by the spring is the end of the drive shaft, and that exhaust's either going to be very, very close or touching. I have had plans to change the exhaust anyway, because it's not the best manifold and the routing of it is a bit strangling, but this was just basically a Mark 1 version mocked up in my head and then put together. So I can get a smaller silencer, move it further back and get that to come 90 degrees into the box or whatever angle, or the other option is manifold this side, which then comes down here, and the silencer runs across the back, either inside or underneath the bumper on the back. I don't really want to do that, but A, it'll keep the heat out of the engine bay a bit, and B, it means I've got no issues with the exhaust clearance, and the carbs won't be dripping anything onto the hot exhaust. Not that they will do anyway. So exhaust is now a job I need to do rather than want to do. I'm going to try that drive shaft and try it at its normal height, but the fact it's so close there now, there now, is probably going to be a no, because unlike the others, these have got rubber boots on. The other ones don't. They're solid shafts inside a tube. So this is a bit of a step back, but it's a step back with the next step forward will be pretty much it finished. It's got the brakes to do at the front, as I say. The rest of it now, oh yeah, and the seat subframes. I keep forgetting about them. Going, yeah, that's as far as I got with it. But that's it. Subframes, bolt in, carpet, finished. Brakes, adjust, pipes, bleed, calipers fit, rubber boots on the track rod ends, finished. Then that should be it. Pretty much done. Looks strange actually having back wheels and hubs on it. Sorry, back hubs on it. I haven't seen it for, like I said earlier, I think about 13 February, March. Yeah, 13, 14 months maybe. I think it was February that I got the other one, and that's when this came apart. So, right, I think I'll call it a quits, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff, and yeah, good progress. A couple of little hiccups along the way, but it's not a factory car. Everything is bespoke, everything is having to be modified to fit other parts. As I say, it was made for a 120 rear suspension, and I put a 130 on. There's a lot more going on in there, there's a lot more things in the way, so I'm having to, a lot of things struggling for the same bit of space, but never mind. Thanks very much, I'll see you later.